it tight. Fold the photo booth pictures down. Stranger danger's real, but I like how it feels. So I'll think of you when the lights go out. I can't shake the guilt, but I can't stay still. I don't want the thrill. But I'm so stably unstable. I'm my own home wrecker, faithfully unfaithful. Kind face, clean slate, you don't want my record. Why do I have to hurt the good guys? Brace for my betrayal, 'cause I'm a heartbreaker at heart. It's the imagery of you hating me that has kept me from being sincere. Finally coming clean, I mean it's the least, but I can't tell you what you wanna hear. I can't tell myself no, but I'm so stably unstable. I'm my own home wrecker, faithfully unfaithful. Kind face, clean slate, you don't want my record. Why do I have to hurt the good guys? Race for my betrayal, 'cause I'm a heartbreaker at heart. They say trust your gut, instincts don't fail. Mine say to leave before you ever will. The moral sure, I'm not the first. I'm in the wrong, but at least I'm not hurt. At least I'm not hurt. Stably unstable. I'm my own home wrecker. Faithfully unfaithful. Kind face, clean slate. You don't want my record. Why do I have to hurt the good guys? Race for my betrayal, 'cause I'm a heartbreaker at heart.
Good morning, citizens of Nexus. Another day of progress awaits. Thanks to your dedication and hard work, we remain strong. Remember, unity in Nexus. Strength in order. Have a productive day.
I should've locked the door, pinned myself to the floor, made someone cover my eyes. 'Cause when the devil's on my left, telling me to go ahead, you're right back in my mind. I'm a human tug of war. How do I cut the cord? Feel like I'm stumbling blind. And with the angel on my right, telling me
Yo, what up, bitches? I mean, sup, fuckers? Yeah, that's what you guys are, right? Like, it's just fuckers. Why? What? Did I not? Did I not? No, I didn't. Apparently I didn't. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I failed you all. Hey, Bran. What's up? Three. Huh? Oh, with board games? So, I realized, Brendan, I realized why it actually took us 5 years to play CDSK. Whereas when it was you, me, and Liz, it was like a reasonable game. Literally every card was needed to read to completion, and it wasn't even in a quick way. So that's what it was. It wasn't that's how we were playing it wrong. Is that we need to, like, cuz like when we played, we were just like, okay, next question. so that we could play the game in a reasonable time frame. We also answered the questions quicker. I don't know, I think maybe we just played it the ADHD way when we played. And when Kyle was there, it was the autism way. So true, Bones. That's not true at all? What's not true at all? Hey Bones, do you like Project Melody? I'm also a dumbass. But we were smarter. Oh, you said that we were smarter, yeah. You love her? Oh, great, Bones. I'm gonna post something in the NSFW channel. Are you old enough to look at that? I don't remember.
It's a bright new day, and we're here to get it started in the right way. Let's get that
Don't tell me you.
and make today the best.
I won't tell him either.
Coming up on Radio Nexus, we've got Heart Over Mind by Alan Walker and Dea.
I don't remember if he had the role or not. I don't know. I don't pay attention to anything, Bones. I don't even pay attention to shit that I say. But yeah, that's one of my favorite artists. I just posted it. Oh, and I'm gonna play like more ambient music while I read book. Let's actually find that right now. I might be able to find a thing that's a meme. That sure is not safe for work. Yes, Brandon, that's why I posted it in the NSFW channel. The one for NSFW things. I want to go to YouTube first. That's gonna be Kiriko. Kitsune Kageo. Is it? Kitsune no Kage something something or other. I don't fucking know. My brain don't work. Alright, what does this look like? Yeah, I'll fucking take it, sure. She can peg me anytime? Yeah, that's hot. I know, right? That's one of my favorite artists. Alright, are we ready to book? Are we ready to book? I did it! Poll! There's a poll! You're ready to book for 18 more minutes. Yo, fair enough. I should have asked the real question. Should I start over now that we have the correct version? I could just catch up to where I was. We have a new translation by Peter... A new translation by Peter Green. One of the oldest extant works of Western literature, the Iliad is a timeless epic poem of great warriors trapped between their own heroic pride and the arbitrary, often vicious decisions of fate of the gods. Of fate and the gods. Renowned scholar and acclaimed translator Peter Green captures the Iliad in all its surging thunder for a new generation of readers, featuring an enticingly personal introduction, a detailed synopsis of each book, a wide-ranging glossary, and explanatory notes for the few puzzling in-text items. The book also includes a select bibliography for those who want to learn more about Homer and the Greek epic. This landmark translation, specifically designed like the oral original to be read aloud. Oh shit! Yo, look at that! Will soon be required reading for every student of Greek antiquity and the great traditions of history and literature to which it gave birth. We are so ready for book. Oh my god, Brand, you really... Alright, we're gonna book. Alright, sorry, Bones. I hope you will unforgiven me. Yeah, that's loud. Alright, yeah. Cool. Bones! Yeah, Bones, sorry. Music pause. Do I have a bookmark? I was on chapter 2. I'm gonna restart. I feel like that's important so that we get like the whole everything. Wait. Okay, it looks like homie started talking about the Latin names, and I was frightened. Fuck two.
Fuck toe.
Fuck toe. True. Yo, it's a map! Ithaca! Oh, abbreviations.
God, I want to plow bones so hard right now.
Yo, where's book one? Book one. Every good book has a map in it. The Hobbit has a map in it. Alright, we're restarting from book one. I don't have a poll anymore, and I also don't have a book in front of me. I'm also not cracking open a cold one because I did that already when we played board games. And I shouldn't drink more energy. Oh, bye, Bones. Wait, Bones, why are you leaving? Alright, let me go into book. Book! That's not the book I'm reading, but it is the book I'm reading. Oh. Oh, okay. Yeah, that checks out. Okay. Book 1. Wrath. Goddess. Sing of Achilles, Peleus' son. Again.
Good, I want to plow bones so hard.
Good. Alright, I think that's probably better. Wrath, goddess, sing of Achilles, Peleus' son. Calamitous wrath, which hit the Achaeans with countless ills. Many the valiant souls it saw off down to Hades. Souls of heroes themselves left as carrion for dogs. And all birds of prey, when the plan of Zeus was fulfilled. From the first moment those two men parted in fury, Atreus' son, king of men, and the godlike Achilles. Which of the gods was it brought them into contention? Letos and Zeus' son, for he, enraged by the king, spread a foul plague through the army, and men were dying. All because Chryses, his priest, had been dishonored by Atreus' son. Chryses came to the Achaeans' swift ships to win his daughter's release, bringing ransom past counting in his hands, the laurels wreathed the laurel wreaths of the deadly archer Apollo on his golden staff, and made his plea to all the Achaeans. But first of the two sons of Atreus, the host's field marshals. Atreus' sons, and you other well-grieved Achaeans, and the gods who have their homes on Olympus grant you to sack Priam's city and win a safe homecoming, but release my dearest daughter. Accept the ransom I offer, show respect for Zeus' son, Apollo, the deadly archer. Then all the other Achaeans spoke up in agreement to respect the priest to accept his splendid ransom. Yet Atreus' son, Agamemnon's angry heart remained untouched. Brusquely, he turned away with words of harsh dismissal. Don't let me find you still here, old man, by the hollow ships, either loitering now or making your way back later, lest your staff and the gods' wreath afford you no protection. Her I shall not release. No, sooner will old age return our house in Argos, far away from her native country, working to and fro at the loom and sharing my bed. Now go, and do not provoke me if you want to depart in safety. So he spoke. The old man was scared and obeyed his words. Silent along the shore of the thunderous sea he went. But, once well away, long and deeply the old man prayed to Apollo his lord, the child of fair-haired Leto. Hear me, you of the silver bow, protector of Christ, and holy Killa who rule with the mighty over Tenedos, Smintheus. If ever for you I roofed a pleasing precinct, if ever I burned for you the fat rich thigh bones of bulls and goats, now grant me this desire. Use your arrows to make the Danaans pay for my tears. Thus he spoke in prayer, and Phoebus Apollo heard him. Down from the peaks of Olympus he hastened, enraged at heart, carrying on his shoulders his bow and lidded quiver, arrows rattling loud on his shoulders, as in his rage he strode on his way. Came as nightfall comes, away from the ships he sat, and let fly an arrow, fearful the twang of his silver bow. To begin with, it was the mules he aimed at, and the swift dogs, but later he made the troops the targets of his swift shafts, and struck, day in, day out, the clustering corpse fires flared. 9 days throughout the army of the gods shafts sped. On the 10th, Achilles summoned the troops to the place of assembly. For white-haired Hera, the goddess, had put this in his mind, since she pitied the Danaans as she saw them dying. So, when they had gathered and were all assembled together, swift-footed Achilles stood up and spoke among them. Son of Atreus, I think we shall now be driven into retreat and forced back home. Even should we escape with our lives, if indeed war and plague together are to crush the Achaeans. Come then, let us find and question some priest or diviner, or even reader of dreams, since a dream too is from Zeus, who might explain to us Phoebus Apollo's deep anger. Is it a missed vow that riles him? Was some oxen not sacrificed? Maybe catching the savor of lambs and unblemished goats. He'll be willing to give us relief. Call off this onslaught. This he said. He sat down, and there stood up among them Calchas, Thestor's son, of the seers, by far the finest. He knew events present and future as well as from the past, and had brought the Achaeans' fleet safe to landfall by Ilion through the diviner's art he had from Phoebus Apollo. He, with friendly intent, now spoke before the assembly. Achilles, dear to Zeus, you bid me explain the reason for the wrath of my lord Apollo, the deadly archer. Then tell you I shall, but you must agree and swear to be my willing protector with word and with hand, since I think I shall anger a man who holds powerful rule over the Argives, to whom the Achaeans owe allegiance. For a king has the upper hand when enraged by a commoner, since though he may swallow his wrath that day, yet he still nurses resentment thereafter in his heart of hearts, until he fulfills it. Tell me then, will you protect me? Swift-footed Achilles spoke to him thus in answer. Have no fear. Reveal any oracle that you know of. For by Apollo dear to Zeus, to whom you, Calchas, pray, when you make plain his oracles to the Danaans. No man, while I still live and have sights upon this earth, shall lay heavy hands on you beside the hollow ships. Of all the Danans, not even if it's Agamemnon you mean, who claims to be the far noblest of all the Achaeans. At this, the blameless diviner was emboldened and spoke out. It's for no missed vow or rich sacrifice that he faults us, but because of the priest whom Agamemnon dishonored, refusing to free his daughter to accept ransom for her. Hence, those griefs that the deadly archers inflicted and will inflict. No way will he free the Danans from this loathsome havoc till we give back her father, the quick-eyed girl, unbought, unransomed, and take to Christ a rich holy sacrifice. This is the only way we might appease and persuade him. This said, he sat down again, and there stood up among them Atreus' heroic son, wide-ruling Agamemnon, bitterly troubled, his black heart brimming over with rage, while his eyes in the semblance of blazing fire. Calchas he first addressed, with a look of hatred. Prophet of doom, not once have you told me anything pleasing. What's always dear to your heart is to prophesy disaster. Nothing good have you ever foretold or brought to pass. Now here you come peddling your claims to the Danan assembly, alleging the deadly archers laid these griefs upon them because I was unwilling to accept a bounteous ransom for this girl, Tracy's daughter, since I'd rather keep her with me at home. Indeed, I prefer her to Clytemnestra, my wedded wife, whose equal she is in all ways, being as good-looking, as tall, as clever, as accomplished. Yet even so, I'll return her, if that should be the best. But I want to have my troops safe, not facing destruction. But you must find me a prize at once, so I'm not the only Argive left prizeless. That would not be seemly, for you see this, all of you, that my prize is going elsewhere. Then to him replied swift-footed godlike Achilles, most glorious son of Atreus, of all men's the most covetous. How can the great-hearted Achaeans produce you a prize? We know of no common stock of goods in store. What we took when we sacked the cities has been shared out. To recall it now from the men would be the most improper. We must give up this girl for the god, and we, the Achaeans, will repay you threefold and fourfold. Zeus ever grants that we storm and sack the strong-walled city of Troy. Answering him then, Lord Agamemnon declared, Fine warrior you may be, godlike Achilles, but don't play tricks on me. You'll not outwit or persuade me. You plan to keep your own prize, but leave me sitting here without one, since you tell me to give the girl back again. Either I get a new prize from the great-hearted Achaeans, chosen to satisfy me, something of equal value, or, if they give me nothing, I shall come in person to take your prize, or Aias's, or carry off that of Odysseus, and he'll have cause for resentment, the man I come to. These matters, though, we can deal with at a later time. For now, let us haul down the black ship to the bright sea, and assemble a crew of oarsmen, place oxen on board for sacrifice, together with Chryses' fair-cheeked daughter herself, and let one man, a counselor, go as captain, Aias or Idomeneus or noble Odysseus, or you, son of Peleus, of all men the most fearsome, to make sacrifice for the appeasement of the deadly archer. Okay, no problem, Bones. Love you. Explode! What's exploding? Eyeing him angrily, swift-footed Achilles declared, You clothes horse for shamelessness, mind obsessed with profit. How could any Achaean be prompt to obey your orders to march to war, or with might face men in battle? I did not come here on account of Troy's spearmen. Why should I fight them? In no way have they ever wronged me. Never have they driven off my cattle or my horses. Never in rich soiled fight with thee, the nurse of heroes, did they lay waste the harvest, since great distance lies between us, shadowy mountains and echoing sea. But you shameless hulk, we accompanied here for your pleasure, to win honor for Menelaus, and for you dog-faced from the Trojans. But none of these things you heed or care for. Oh, hey Trinity, what's up? We're reading. And by we, I mean me, just me. If you have the Iliad, you can read along, I suppose. And now, you even threaten to rob me of the prize, to get which I suffered much, and the Achaean son gave to me. Never do I rate a prize to match yours when the Achaeans lay waste to some populous citadel of the Trojans, though mine are the hands that bear the brunt of the Furies' battle. And when the time comes for sharing, then your prize is by far the greatest, while I, with some smaller thing, for my share, trudge back to the ships still combat weary. But now I'm returning to fight. That's better by far, going home with my curved vessels. I'm not minded to stay here without honor, amassing you wealth in plenty. Oh shit, in a different language. Oh, which language? Greek? Then the Lord of Men, Agamemnon, made to answer him. Run away if your heart so bids you. Far be it from me to beg you to stay here for my sake. With me are many others who will treat me with that honor. Zeus, the counselor above all, most hateful you are to me of Zeus's royal nurslings. Quarrels are what you love most, and wars and battles. That great strength of yours, I'd guess, was some god's gift. Take off homeward now, with your ships and your comrades, lord it over the Myrmidons. For you I care nothing. I take no heed of your anger, and this is my threat to you. Since Chryses is taken from me by Phoebus Apollo, her with a ship of my own and my own companions I shall send back. With the fair cheek Brises, your prize, I'll come to see your hut myself, and take that you may know well how much stronger I am than you, and that others may fear to address me as an equal, to confront me face to face. German. Yeah, the last... I literally had a different version that I'm currently reading. Like, the one on screen, that's the one that I had initially gotten, and it was the Latin names of the gods, and I didn't like that. So I bought an entire new book. So he spoke, and pain seized Peleus' son. The heart in his shaggy breast was divided, torn this way and that. Should he draw the sharp sword from beside his thigh, break up the crowd and kill the son of Atreus, or swallow his bitter gall, restrain his passion? While he was still debating this in his mind and spirit, his great sword half drawn from its scabbard, Athena came down from the heavens, dispatched by the white-armed goddess Hera, who loved and cared for them both alike in her heart. Standing beside him, she grabbed Peleus' son's fair hair, appearing to him alone. Of the others, no one saw her. And Achilles turned round in amazement, instantly recognized Pallas Athene, and terrible radiance of her eyes, and uttered winged words. He thus addressed her. Why have you come this time, child of Zeus, the Aegis bearer, to witness the arrogant gall of Atreus' son, Agamemnon? For this I will tell you, and I think it will come about. Though his insolent conduct, he may well soon lose his life. To him then spoke in anger the goddess grey-eyed Athene. I have come here to check your rage. If you'll listen to me, down from high heaven, sent by the goddess, white-armed Hera, who loves and cares for you both alike in her heart. Come now, leave off your strife, take your hand from your sword, abuse him with words alone regarding what will happen, for thus I declare, and it will certainly come about. One day 3 times as many fine gifts will be offered you on account of this insult. So restrain yourself and obey us. Then, in answer to her swift-footed, Achilles declared, Needs must, goddess, respect the words of you both, however angry at heart one may be. It is better so, and those who comply with the gods are listened to and returned. With that, on the silver hilt he set his heavy hand, thrust the great sword back into its scabbard, nor disregarded Athena's words. But she had already left for Olympus, home of Zeus and of the Aegis, to rejoin the other gods. So Peleus' son, once again, with words of strong contentment, addressed the son of Atreus, his anger not yet ended. You wine-sodden wretch, dog-faced, dear-hearted, not once have you dared to arm yourself for battle with your troops, or joined in an ambush with the Achaean chieftains. Oh no, such things spell death to you. Better by far to range here through this broad camp of the Achaeans, take back the gifts of whoever speaks out against you. A king that feeds off his commons, rules more nonnities. Otherwise, son of Atreus, this new outrage would be your last. This, though, I will tell you, and swear a great oath besides, by this staff, which never again will put out leaves or shoots since the day it first left its tree stump in the mountains, nor will it flourish afresh, since the bronze has stripped it of leaves and bark, and now the son of the Achaeans, who renders judgments, who safeguard the ordinances of Zeus, carry it in their hands. This will be my great oath for you. One day, the need for Achilles will hit the Achaean sons, every man jack of them. Then, for all your grief, you'll not be able to help them. When many at the hands of Hector, killer of men, fall dying, you'll eat out the heart within you, incense that you failed to honor the best of the Achaeans. So spoke the son of Peleus. Then dashed to the ground the staff studded with gold nails, and himself sat down. Across from him, Atreus' sons still raged. Then Nestor, smooth phrase-maker, arose, and Pylian's lucid spokesman, the Pylian's lucid spokesman, a man from whose tongue the speech flowed sweeter than honey. In his lifetime, already 2 generations of mortals had passed away, those who raised with him and their offspring. The sacred Pylos, and now he was king over the third. He, with friendly intent, now spoke before the assembly. Great grief indeed now besets the land of Achaea. Priam would surely rejoice. The sons of Priam and all the rest of the Trojans would be happy at heart if they learned about this quarrel between the pair of you. Who in council surpasses all the Danaans and in fighting? Now, listen to me. You both are younger than I am. There was a time I consorted with far better men than you, and they never wrote me off as a lightweight. Such men have I not seen since, nor shall see again, as Peirithous, or Dryas, the shepherd of his people, Caeneus, or Exodius, or godlike Polyphemos, or Theseus, Aegeus' son, equal of the immortals. Strong were those of all men nurtured by earth, strongest themselves, and fought against the strongest, the mountain-layered beastmen, and fearsomely destroyed them. I joined these men's company when I'd come from Pylos, a long trek from a distant land. It was they who invited me. Single-handedly I fought, but against such men as these no mortal of those on earth could do battle. They listened to my advice, were persuaded by my words. So, do you both be persuaded. Persuasion is better. You, great man though you are, do not take away his girl and let her be. It's the prize the Achaean son first gave him. And you, son of Peleus, do not seek to challenge a king by main force, since it is no ordinary honor, but the lot of a sceptered king, whom Zeus gives the glory. Strong though you are, with a goddess for your mother, yet this man is the greater, since he rules more subjects. Son of Atreus, control your rage. I do beseech you, check your anger against Achilles, who is a great bulwark for all the Achaeans against war's disasters. Then, in answer to him, spoke the Lord Agamemnon. Yes, all that you say, old sir, is right and proper. This man has it in mind to be above all others. He wants to dominate all, be lord over all, give orders to all. If there's one man, I think, will not obey him. If the gods who live forever have made him a spearman, is that now an excuse for his insults to run wild? Cutting in his own words then, noble Achilles responded. I'd surely be called a coward and a worthless fellow if every other matter I yield to you. Do as you say. To tell others to act thus, but don't give me such orders. For I think I'm no longer minded to obey you. One other thing I will tell you, and do you lay it to heart, I shan't fight with my hands for the girl, no. Neither against you nor anyone else. You gave her, you'll take her. But of everything else that is mine, by my swift black ship, not one piece shall you carry off against my pleasure. Go on then, try it, so that these men here, too, may learn how quickly your black blood will gush around my spear point. So, the two, after exchanging their fighting words, arose and broke up the assembly by the ships of the Achaeans. Peleus' son made his way to the huts in his well-trimmed vessels with Patroclus, son of Meniotios, and his other companions. But Atreus' son now had a swift ship hauled down to the sea. He chose a score of men to row it, loaded oxen for the god, brought out the fair-cheeked Chryses, and put her aboard. and as captain there went with them the resourceful Odysseus. So these embarked and sailed out over the seaways. But Atreus' son ordered his people to purify themselves, and they did so, cast into the sea the filth of their defilement, then offered up to Apollo their perfect sacrifices, with bulls and goats by the shore of the unharvested sea. The savor went up to heaven, circling around the smoke. Thus throughout the camp they were busy, yet Agamemnon did not give up the strife with which he first threatened Achilles, but gave orders to Telephobos and Eurybates, the two who were his heralds and busy henchmen. Both of you go to the hut of Peleus' son, Achilles. Take by the hand their fair-cheeked Briseis, bring her back here. If he won't give her up, I shall come in person to get her, with a large force, and that will be the worse for him. So saying, he sent them off. With the harsh orders, the two reluctantly went by the shore of the unharvested sea, and came to the Myrmidons' ships and huts. Found Achilles sitting beside his hut in his black ship, and at the sight of those two, he was not best pleased. They, quaking with terror and in awe of the king, stood there, not questioning him, not saying a word. But he understood in his heart, and thus he addressed them. Greetings, you heralds, messengers of Zeus and of mankind. Come closer. For me, it's not you who are guilty. For me, it's not you who are guilty, but Agamemnon, who sent you both here on account of the girl Briseis. Very well then, Patroclus, go fetch the girl out, hand her over to these two, and take her away. And let them be witnesses before the blessed gods and before all mortal men, yes, and before that ruthless king, if ever hereafter there shall be need of me, to ward off shameful havoc from the host at large, how he seethes in his destructive mind, with no idea how to look at once both before and after, to ensure that the Achaeans might fight safely beside their ship. So he spoke, and Patroclus obeyed his dear companion. From their hut he brought the fair-cheeked Briseis, gave her to them to take. The two went back to the Achaeans' ship, and the woman went with them, unwillingly. But Achilles, weeping, moved off apart from his comrades, sat down on the shore of the gray salt sea, eyes fixed on the boundless deep, and appealed to his dear mother, arms outstretched. Mother, since you bore me, though for a short life only, some honor for sure, the Olympian should have guaranteed me. Zeus, who thunders on high, but now not the slightest regard he has shown me. And Atreus' son, wide-ruling Agamemnon, has done me dishonor, himself took my prize and keeps it. So he spoke, shedding tears. The lady, his mother, heard him as she sat in the depths of the sea beside the old man, her father. Swiftly she rose up, like a mist through the gray sea brine, came and sat down in front of him as he wept, and, stroking him with her hand, addressed him by name and said, Child, why are you crying? What grief has possessed your heart? Speak out, let us both know. Don't hide it away in your mind. Then, with a heavy sigh, swift-footed Achilles answered, You know. Why must I tell you this when you're all-knowing? We marched out to Thebes, Asian's sacred city, sacked it, brought everything back here. The sons of the Achaeans divided the spoils quite fairly among themselves, to the son of Atreus allotting Chryses, fair-cheeked daughter. Chryses himself, the priest of Apollo, deadly archer, came to the swift ship of the bronze corsellated Achaeans to win his daughter's release, bearing ransom past counting, a gold staff in his hands, wreathed with the deadly archer Apollo's laurels. Made his plea to all the Achaeans, but first the two sons of Atreus, the host's field marshes. Then all the other Achaeans spoke up in agreement. They should respect the priest and accept his splendid ransom. Yet Atreus' son, Agamemnon's angry heart remained untouched. Brusquely, he turned him away with words of harsh dismissal. Angered, the old man went back, but Apollo had listened to the prayer he made, for his priest was most dear to him. So he let fly against the Argives his deadly shafts. Their men were now dying one after the other as the gods' arrows ranged through the Achaeans' wide camp. But to us, the seer, well aware of the truth, made clear the deadly archer's message. I was the first at once to urge the god's appeasement. But then bitter anger flared to Atreus' son. He stood up and quickly uttered a threat, which is now accomplished. For the sharp-eyed Achaeans are sending this girl abroad, a swift ship to Chryse, along with gifts for the Lord Apollo, while heralds have led away the girl from my hut, Briseis' daughter, my present from the Achaeans' son. But you, if you can, now come to aid your son. Go on up to Olympus, petition Zeus, if ever you've gratified his heart by either word or deed. For surely I've often heard you in the halls of my father boasting that Kronos' son, lord of black thunder clouds, was saved from shameful ruin, you said, by you alone among the immortals. When those other Olympians wanted to put him in fetters, Hera, Poseidon, Pallas Athena, but you came, goddess, and rescued him from his bonds, quickly calling to high Olympus the 100-handed one, whom the gods named Briareus, but mortals of every sort Aegaon. For he in strength is mightier than his father, but the son of Kronos he sat down, exulting in his glory, and the blessed gods, terrified, laid aside their fetters. Remind him now of these matters, sit by him, clasp his knees, in case he may be minded to assist the Trojans, drive back the Achaeans past the ship's sterns, and along the seashore with slaughter, that they may get all the joy of the king they have, and Atreus' son, wide-ruling Agamemnon, may know his delusion in failing to honor the best of the Achaeans. And Thetis answered him, shedding tears, Ah, my child, why after so ill-starred a birth did I ever rear you? I wish it had been your lot to sit by your ships ungrieving, tearless, since your life will be brief, of no real length. But now you are both short-lived and the wretchedest mortal of all. To a cruel fate I bore you in our halls. Still, to bring this complaint of yours before Zeus, happy thunderer, I'll go myself to snowbound Olympus. He might just listen. You, though, sit tight by your swift-sailing ships, rage on against the Achaeans, but yourself abstain from battle. Zeus yesterday went to Ocean to visit the blameless Ethiopians for a feast. All the other gods left with him. In 12 days he'll come back to Olympus, and I shall go to the house of Zeus, with its brazen floor, and clasp his knees, and I think I shall persuade him. This said, she took herself off and left him there, enraged at heart on account of the fine-clad woman they'd taken from him by force, against his will. Meanwhile, Odysseus made landfall at Chryse, conveying the oxen for a holy sacrifice. When they entered the deep harbor, they furled the sail and stowed it away on their black ship. The mast they let down by the forestays, lowered it to the crutch smartly, then plied their oars to the roadstead anchorage, cast out the anchor stones, hitched up the stern cables, and themselves stepped out onto the seashore, disembarked the sacrificial oxen for Apollo, the deadly archer, and for the seagoing ship Chryses, two stepped forth. Then resourceful Odysseus escorted her to the altar, put her in the arms of her dear father, and thus addressed him. Yo, what are we gonna do for Odysseus? What if I make him like cowboy Odysseus? Chryses, I'm sent here from the Lord of Men, Agamemnon, to bring you your daughter and offer Phoebus a holy sacrifice for the Danaans, to placate the Lord, who has lately laid on the Argives much grief and lamentation. Yeah, I hate that. That's so bad. Oh my god. I have no idea what to give Odysseus as a voice. I don't know. We'll try next one, I guess. So saying, he delivered her into his arms, and Chryses gladly received his dear child. Now quickly and in good order, they set up the god's holy sacrifice around his well-built altar, washed their hands, took up the barley groats, and before them Chryses now prayed aloud, with arms uplifted. Hear me, you of the silver bow, protector of Christ and sacred killer, who rule in might over Tenedos. There was a time when I prayed, and you duly listened. Honor my prayer and brought havoc with the troops of the Achaeans. So fulfill for me one For me also one new wish, here and now. Take off without delay this vile plague from the Danans. So he spoke in prayer, and Phoebus Apollo heard him. When they had prayed and scattered the barley groats, first pulling back the victims' heads, they slaughtered and flayed them. Cut out the thighs, wrapped them up in a double layer of fat, and placed above them cuts of raw meat. The old man burned over these split billets, with fire-bright wine drizzled on them, while beside him young men held 5-pronged forks. When the thighs were well broiled and they tasted the innards, next they chopped up the rest, threaded the bits on skewers, grilled them with care, then drew them all off. But when they were through with their work, and the meal had been got ready, they feasted, and no one's heart lacked a fair share in the feasting. But when they had satisfied their desire for food and drink, the young men topped up the mixing bowls with liquor and served it to all. The first drops in their cups for libation the whole day through with the song these young Achaeans sought to appease the god, chanting their lovely pain, that hymned the deadly archer, whose heart rejoiced as he listened. But when the sun went down and darkness came on, they settled themselves and slept by the ship's stern cables. And when early dawn appeared, the rosy-fingered, they put out to sea toward the wide camp of the Achaeans. And Apollo the deadly archer sent them a following wind, and they raised the mast and spread wide the white sail. The sail bellied out in the wind, and the surging bow wave sang loudly round the vessel's cutwater as she ran. On she sped, slicing herself a sea lane through the billows. But when they arrived at the wide camp of the Achaeans, the black ship they hauled far up the beach, set her high on the stand, planted the long props against her hull, and themselves dispersed to their various huts and vessels. So he sat on, still raging, beside his swift-moving ships, Peleus' heaven-sprung son, swift-footed Achilles. Never did he show up, now in assembly, where men attain renown, never went to the fighting, but let his dear heart waste away, withdrawn there, though he longed for the war cry and for combat. But when the 12th dawn of the day broke, then back to Olympus the gods who are forever returned all together, with Zeus at their head. And Thetis did not forget her son's entreaties, but rose from the sea's waves in the early morning, went up through the vast sky to Olympus. Cronus' loud thundering son she found apart from the rest, perched on the topmost peak of many rigid Olympus. She sat down before him, and her left hand embraced on his knees, while with her right she touched him beneath the chin, and in supplication addressed him as Lord Zeus, Cronus' son. Zeus, father, if ever before among the immortals I helped you by word or deed, then grant me now this wish. Here honor my son, who beyond all other man is fated to a brief life, for now that lord of men, Agamemnon, has done him a dishonor. Himself took his prize and keeps it. Zeus, Olympian counselor, you must show him honor. Give the edge to the Trojans, at least until the Achaeans acknowledge my son's rights. Make him honorable amends. So she spoke, but no word came from Zeus the cloud-gatherer. Long in silence he sat, yet Thetis, just as she'd embraced his knees, now clung to him. He asked for a second time, "Promise me this without fail, and nod in confirmation, or else say no, you've nothing to fear, and show me how far I'm the one least honored among the gods." Then, deeply troubled, Cloud-gatherer Zeus addressed her. "This is a nasty business. You'll bring me into conflict with Hera. Make her provoke me with reproachful words. As it is, she constantly nags me before the immortal gods, says that I give my support to the Trojans in the fighting. You go back home now, lest Hera notice you. I shall figure a way to get this matter accomplished. See now, I'll nod my head to make you believe me. Since among the immortals, this from me is the strongest pledge. No promise of mine can be revoked, misled, or remain unfulfilled, once I nod and assent to it." With that, the son of Cronos nodded his dark brows, and the locks of ambrosial hair swung rippling from the lord's immortal head. He made great Olympus tremble. These two, planning done, now parted. She leapt down into the salty deep from gleaming Olympus, while Zeus went to his dwelling. All the gods rose together from their chairs in respect for the father. Not one of them dared to stay seated on his arrival. All stood up to greet him. So he sat down there on his throne, but Hera was well aware, when she saw him, that Thetis the silver-footed, the old man of the sea's daughter, had been with him, plotting mischief. At once, the mocking words she addressed Zeus, son of Cronos. Which of the gods, you trickster, has been with you plotting mischief? Always it's your pleasure to leave me out of things, make decisions you've worked on in secret. You've never really wanted to let me share what's going on in your mind. Then, to her, the father of the gods and men replied, Hera, do not expect to get to know all my thoughts. They'd be difficult for you, even though you are my wife. What is fitting for you to hear, there is no one, either of gods or mortals, who will learn it before you. But such plans as I aim to devise without any other god's knowledge are matters you must never ask me about or query. Okay, I'm almost done. I'm just gonna finish this fucking book. Book 1, aka Chapter 1. Then to him the ox-eyed lady Hera responded, Most dreaded son of Cronos, what's this that you're telling me? In the past, to a fault, I've not questioned or pestered you. You work out, at your ease, anything that you've a mind to. But now I very much fear you've been won over by Thetis, silver-footed, the daughter of the old man of the sea. For at first light she sat down before you and clasped your knees, and I think you nodded to her as true token that you'd honor Achilles and kill many men of the ships of the Achaeans, by the ships of the Achaeans. Then, in answer to her, Zeus, the cloud-gatherer, said, Madam, you're full of fancies. I can keep nothing from you. Yep, you won't achieve anything this way, save to find yourself further still from my heart. Which would be the worst for you? This business is thus, then it must be to my liking. So, sit down, keep quiet, be obedient to my orders, for all the gods on Olympus will avail you nothing. When I come close and lay invincible hands upon you. So he spoke, and fear seized the ox-eyed Lady Hera. She sat in silence, wrestling her inner heart to submission. And throughout Zeus's house, the gods of heaven were troubled. Among them, Hephaestus, famed craftsman, was first to speak, hoping to calm his dear mother, white-armed Hera. A nasty business we all have here. Something not to be born if you two are to quarrel like this for the sake of mortals, and bring brawling among the gods. There'll be no pleasure in the splendid feast, since bad feelings uppermost. And I would advise my mother, though she knows this herself, to make up to our dear father Zeus, so that our father may not fall out with her again, and thus upset our feasting. Suppose the Olympian, lord of the thunder, of the lightning, were minded to toss us out of our seats. He's by far the strongest, so engage him with soft, fair words. Then, straightway, the Olympians sure to show himself gracious to us. So saying, he sprang up and put a two-handed goblet in his dear mother's hands and thus addressed her. Be patient, my mother. Endure despite your sorrow, lest, dear as you are to me, I get to see you beaten before my eyes. And then I'll be unable to help you for all my grief. The Olympian's a difficult opponent. Once before, that other time when I was minded to aid you, you hurled me, seized by the foot, down from the god's threshold. All day long I plummeted, till as the sun was setting I fell upon Lemnos, and little the life left in me. But the Sintian folk cared for me directly after my fall. So he spoke, and the goddess white-armed Hera smiled, and smiling, received the cup in one hand from her son. Then, going from left to right for all the other gods, poured out sweet nectar drawn from the mixing bowl, and unquenchable laughter arose among the blessed gods, as they watched Hephaestus hobbling about the place. Then, the whole day long, until the sun went down, they feasted, and no one's heart lacked a fair share of feasting, nor the exquisite lyre that Apollo handled, nor of the muses who sang sweet-voiced, responding one another. But when the bright light of the sun sank, and they all went to lie down and sleep, every one in his own dwelling, where each of them a house had been built, with cunning skill by far-famed Hephaestus, lame of both legs, and Zeus the Olympian, lord of lightning, went to his own bed, where he always had found repose, and sweet sleep overtook him. There he went up and slept with gold-throned Hera beside him. Alright. Short stream. Hour long-ish. We've started. We've started the Iliad for real this time. And it looks like no one's here. I don't know. Do we even want to raid if that's the case? I'm fucking tired. Yeah, we're just